If you have a gun, then you can kill a man easily. And if you can get that gun easily, then probably death is instant. The world is still horrified by the gun killings that happened in America, when shooters killed people in Uvalde, in Texas, in New York. As I speak to you, recently a shooter unleashed his madness when he randomly killed people in the American Independence Day parade. Is it so easy to kill somebody? You have an assault vehicle in your hand and you go into the streets and start killing people randomly. Where are the gun laws? And what is the American gun law? And why is the American gun law in the news? And what about the gun laws in India? And it is even said that having a gun is a constitutional right in America. And the moment as we speak now, it is said that people are shot in America, because every day the statistics say that around 53 people are shot in the United States of America. In this LearnStroke's ExplainWallah for IAS, let's discuss the gun laws and the gun rights. I'm just quoting a few excerpts from the White House notification which said, "We went and visited in Uvalde in Texas and also to the grocery stores near Buffalo, New York, and talked to the relatives and families of victims who were shot in the shootings. And probably everybody said the same thing. Just do something. Just do something. And for God's sake, please do something about the gun killings."
Their message to us was do something. I don't know how many times we heard that. Just do something. For God's sake, just do something.
These emotions were exactly echoed by the President of the United States of America, Joe Biden, when he signed a historical gun control law, something very significant in the last 30 years. And again, something very significant because there hasn't been anything in the near past which both Democrats and Republicans equally supported. And then came the historic gun law in America. There are various important provisions contained in that. We have to find out what are these important provisions and will it keep a tab and a check on the gun killings in USA. Let's find out. The new legislations and the laws are more tougher and comprehensive than the previous one, as the government say. And this also includes the states to empower the red flag laws, or states to have the power to withdraw the guns from people who are supposed to be potentially threatful people, or people who are mentally unfit, or people who can create big time troubles. So the background check is going to be too sharp on that, and also tougher background checks for people especially who are less than 21 years of age, so that there is a system so that the different type of licensing like assault rifles which has the capacity to kill people do not fall in the wrong hands. And also 15 billion federal funding from states to implement mental health programs and to have a security updates in the schools. And it seems that most often what happens is it is a mentally deranged person who come to the streets and unleash his or her madness. So mental health programs and security updates in schools are a big time reforms that they are suggesting. And on top of that, this time the government is planning to end what is called as a boyfriend loophole. What do you mean by a boyfriend loophole? So you must have seen in the movies and series, you see that whenever there is a separation or a breakup happening, you know that the boyfriend or the ex-boyfriend has a tendency to go and kill the lover and abuse the lovers or the new partners of the lover. So this is something not only seen in movies and series. So this is a real-time issue, and this time they have decided to close this boyfriend loophole by making sure that the guns do not reach the abusive boyfriends who can kill people. So this is also a big time serious check that the government has suggested. Is the gun control a big time issue? What are some of the statistics that we can really discuss in this regard? It is even said that there are more than 393 guns in the US alone. And the last year we can see that more than 20,900 people were killed due to firearms itself. And you will not believe the US has the highest number of deaths due to firearms. When you compare it with the countries of the wealthy nations or the wealthy nations of the world, US has the highest death rate due to firearms. And previously, before the big law came in America, it was in 1994 that there was a significant law which gave an important legislation regarding gun law, and that expired within 10 years. And from that point onwards, the states are treating the gun laws differently. And recently, a Supreme Court struck down a New York law regarding who can carry a gun. So it further expanded the gun rights law. And I think the present big law on the gun control will be a good thing in the regard, and the states will take it positively to deal with the gun violence. And it is even said that for 100 people, let's take an average, for 100 people in the US, there are 120 plus firearms. That means more than one person normally owns more than one gun. So for 100 people, the average is 120.5 guns. And when you compare it with countries like Serbia and even Lebanon, that count per 100 is less than 40. So in US, it is more than 120 plus. Don't you think it's a very high thing? And it is even said every day there are at least 53 shootings that takes place in the US. In 2020, 43% of the deaths, amounting to 19,384 people, were homicides. And the figure represents 34% increase from 2019 and a 75% increase over the course of the previous decade. The data also shows that vast majority of murders, that is 79%, were carried out with guns. Do we have a gun right law in India? Yes, there are some provisions that we need to discuss. And the recent killing of the singer Sidhu Moosewala due to an inter-gang war is also an episode that we can remember and understand how gun culture is a very popular thing in India also. His songs Lifestyle and So High is an example of how it promotes the gun culture. When you talk about India, we have to talk about the Arms Act of 1959. And when you have to talk about the Arms Act of 1959, we have to go back to 1857, the battle or the mutiny, the Sepoy mutiny that is very popular in history. And after that, after the 1857 revolt of India, in 1878, the British people passed something called as the Arms Act of 1878. And the Arms Act clearly disallowed any Indian from possessing arms, ammunitions or firearms without the approval of the British people. And if in order to get it, he or she should have shown a loyalty to the crown or the British people. Only then you were given an arms and ammunitions in those times. And later on, in 1947, after that, when we got freedom, the Arms Act of 1878 was amended and changed to Arms Act of 1959. And according to that act, no person can acquire, possess or carry a firearm without proper license and legislations that you get from the government. So license is mandatory in that regard, and no person can own two firearms unless he is a firearm dealer or he is a member of a rifle organization. And later on, this Arms Act of 1959 was later amended to include sports people, international sports people, medalists and international shooters, and that allowed even 12 rifles to be carried for sporting people, and a junior rifleman can even carry at least 2 rifles for his practice. So these are some of the important provisions of the Arms Act of 1959. Let's talk about the prohibitions. It is said that any person who is less than the age of 21 is prohibited from carrying a firearm or even getting a license for that. And anyone who is convicted of a crime involving violence or even mental depravity cannot own a firearm. And anybody who is mentally unfit or mentally sound at the time of the sale is not considered for this. And even it is said that when you have a firearm, you're not even allowed to change the name or even tamper or create forged marks or change any identification mark in the firearm is not permissible. You cannot transport, possess or even smuggle a prohibited firearm. There are a lot of prohibited firearms that you cannot even take it, and there are punishments up to more than 7 years if you are caught on that. But there are certain exceptions created. Certain exceptions like certain seafaring vessels or aircrafts that uses weapons and guns can do that because that is the nature of their business. And even the NCC cadets or people who are under the orders of central government, public service people, public servants can definitely use the firearm and are exempted according to the law. Now let's talk about the illegal gun manufacturing in India. So is there something called illegal? And you know that more than the legal, there are more number of illegal gun manufacturing center in India which employ thousands of people. It is the occupation and livelihood of thousands of people to make illegal firearms in India. And since the British time, there is a city called Munger, which is around 200 kilometers from Patna in Bihar, which is popular for gun production and gun manufacturing since the British times. And it is said that after independence, there were 37 manufacturing centers for gun in Munger. And you will not even believe that thousands of people are employed in this, and ranging from country revolvers to rifles to carbines, they even produce American and Italian guns, even the Smith & Wesson and even Beretta at very, very cheap prices. And the gun production in India, as I said, majority of them are illegal, and some of them are obviously, as you said, come in the legal bounds. And majority of the production of manufacturing of gun takes place in the city of Bihar to Uttar Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, and then Assam, Karnataka, and even in Himachal Pradesh. The Bihar police records that from 2001 to June 2017, 41,333 illegal country-made weapons and 599 illegal gun factories were unearthed from the state, and 229,647 cartridges were seized from these places. These are some of the important insights about the gun laws and the gun control in America as also in India. And let's really hope that the people who use a gun will use it wisely and for self-defense purpose. And let's not become a prey or a victim in the street when somebody would really come and unleash his madness. Let's really hope that we don't become one among that.